the water's fine, homie, jump into the deep end. Sow it, you will reap it. We talking how to start it, how to grow it, how to keep it. Take a deep breath. You are now rocking with Founder Secrets.
All right. Hello, Brandon Dawkins, founder of Beyond Nice, a dating coach for people in New York City and beyond. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having me. Excited to have this conversation and talk about what I do.
Oh, this is so exciting. We've never had a dating coach before. So for those of us that are older and watched Hitch, right? That's sort of your domain. It was one of my favorite movies. So let's dive in with a hack about maybe a dating experience, a funny dating experience that maybe you want to share. Perhaps Taylor, you want to start?
Yeah, I kind of told this at my wedding. So the date that I took, the first date with my now wife, I showed up late in like cargo shorts. It was sweaty during the summer. And yeah, that was not a good way to start. Also, I told her that I was keto because at the time I wasn't eating any carbs. Remember that, Flavio? So I wasn't eating carbs. And she also didn't think I drank because I had one drink and then I was kind of feeling her out to see if she was going to get another drink. So we had one drink. We sat there for like 2 hours, both of us wondering, should we get food? And then she's wondering, does he eat? Does he drink? He showed up late. Why is he wearing shorts? So it was pretty rough. And then she said, hey, there's a really good taco place next door. So we went to the Tickler. I think it's what it's called, right? At the bottom of Chelsea Market on 14th. And or Tickler? I don't know. Something like that.
I mean, I know what you're talking about. And
it's that place that's downstairs. That big screen. It's like a wide. but so then we go next door. And she says, do you want to go tacos? I said, yeah. She goes, I thought he was keto. And then we go over there and I eat tacos. She's like, wow, who is this guy? That was my last day of keto. I was like, all right, I'm done. That's it. I tried a cactus taco first and last time. Cactus tacos suck. Those are terrible. Don't eat them. Yep. That's all I got.
Wow. The things you sacrifice for love.
There you go. See, yes.
Your whole life, your whole diet.
Well, in that spirit, I'll also share how I met my current life partner. So I was working late. And my buddy's like, hey, come on, let's go out. All right, fine. So we go out. I was like wearing, clothes I'd worn all day with this like very like raincoat. It wasn't even raining. I just at the time couldn't afford like a nicer coat. I was like really cold in it. It was like dead of winter in New York. So we're like trying to go. My friend, on the other hand, he has very, very like suave, very good talker. We get into this club, just him talking himself into it and kind of dragging me along. And he's very good. He's talking to everybody in the room. I'm just sitting there trying to order a drink. And this girl comes to me. It's like, oh, wow. It's like, hey, tell me more about your friend. Is he really a doctor? Like, what does he do? Like, seriously? So that wasn't end up being the person. Later that night, he pretends to be part of this table of girls that were celebrating a birthday of somebody. So we're like also there. And he's kind of talking to everybody as if we're part of the group to get free drinks from their table. And it works, as everything works for this guy. It's unbelievable. And that's when one of the girls in the party was like, oh, hey, what's your name? Like, how do you know this person whose birthday it is? But it's really loud. So I'm like, I can't really hear you. So anyway, long story short, that is now my life partner. So it all started based on a misunderstanding.
What happened to that guy? Does he run like $1 billion AI company now?
Yeah, he ended up selling his company for hundreds of millions of dollars without revenue. It's like it takes.
He sold it for way more than what it was worth.
He's very good. But I don't think he's married though. So still out there, Brandon.
Yeah, potential client.
What about you, Brandon?
If you're listening to this, it doesn't sound like you need my services. You can talk to the show. Congrats.
So what about you, Brandon?
Funny dating experience.
I had a recent date, and because I'm single myself, so I'm out there. I'm in the trenches. I'm putting the things that I preach to practice. But I always think like you got to mix things up. When you're out there in New York, you're going on dates. Some people go on like date every night. I'm like, you're crazy. I mean, as a woman, maybe you're getting free meals. That can be the perk of it. But I wanted to mix things up, so I was doing a date in the Upper West Side and I posted this on socials. I created a little wheel on my phone. Like I downloaded some cheesy app and typed in 8 happy hours I had saved in my Google Maps. And so the whole deal with the date was we had our first drink, and then I'm like, okay, I have an idea. It's going to be fun. And we're going to spin this wheel and just let it tell us where to go. And so it just became this fun thing that kept the date going. And we went to random spots in the neighborhood. And it took the pressure off, and it made it feel different. And it was something that we could connect over that wasn't focused on like the typical things. And it was just really fun. Like the first spot we went to was Jake's Dilemma, and we just played some foosball, and it really eased into the date and made for a fun experience.
Jake's Dilemma.
But I do have another story that's interesting.
Upper West Side.
I mean,
What's the other story?
What?
What's the other story?
So I went on a date with this woman a little while back, and she was telling a story about a first date where she walks into the restaurant and the man proceeded to rent out like a whole private area. And he's like, I think this would be a funny story for our children someday.
Whoa.
$8,000 he spent on this first date. This guy's got fuck you money. It ended up not working out, but I thought, wow, that's one way of experimenting on dates.
What? This is a first date?
Yeah.
Wait, so they were
It's probably your buddy.
did you rent out a restaurant?
Oh, there's an AI company.
There's an AI company.
It was monopoly money. But what? Wow, that's wild. Okay,
That's a crazy story. Okay.
so maybe give us a little background how you became, like, were you even as a child like setting people up in like the kindergarten, like how did how did you become a dating coach?
Yeah, I'll get into that. I was not the best dater growing up, but I watched the movie Hitch, and I was like, this is the life for me.
Wow.
Not really, no.
It is. Jet skis. That's why we got jet skis in Manhattan that one time, Taylor. I felt like
That's
we were
right.
like Hitch when we were on jet skis around Manhattan.
You're
Like I'm in a movie.
So I have a background. I got my CPA, worked at PwC, and ultimately did product management at Spotify. And in December of 23, I got laid off. And my old boss at PwC, the day after I got laid off, said, hey, I know it's kind of early, but I got a project for you, year-long contract, consulting a company that'd be great. You'd be familiar with the people you're working with. And I just felt in my gut that it wasn't the right move. I always had this passion for helping others. I volunteer with kids on Saturdays. I'm very involved in the community. It just fuels me. And I was like, the one thing I was missing at Spotify was that fulfillment from work. And so ultimately, I'm like, I'm taking time. I'm going to go travel New Zealand, Australia, Thailand, all over, Korea. And I just spoke to strangers about what really fueled me, what I was passionate about, and what I had interest in working with people on. And when I described it, people would say, that sounds like a life coach. And I'd be like, nah, fuck that. Right? You're allowed to curse on this podcast?
Of course, sure. Well, you've already done it, so it's
yeah,
done.
I've already done it like 3 times. So whoops. But I was like, no, that's not really what it is. But ultimately, when I got back to the States, I had this realization that it was in fact a life coach. So I sought a certification, and this was about a year ago. Started coaching people on their career, health, relationships, etc. And in the program, when they're talking about finding your niche, they're like, you need to find something that, one, people ask you for advice in. 2, something that there's a problem with in society. And 3, something you're passionate about. And the ultimate kicker for me, though, was I'd gone on my own transformation related to dating. Growing up, I was, the kid that played all the sports, was an athlete. And I kind of relied on that I thought, oh, okay, people like me, so girls will like me. But that was not true. I didn't know how to flirt or tease or any of these. I was afraid to ask for a number or go for a kiss. So I really struggled in dating. And at one point in my life, I had to put in a lot of work to learn how to do these things in a way that felt authentic to me. And I realized when thinking about my niche that the stuff I had learned over time was valuable. And it was something I wanted to give back to people because I had people in my life that I know they struggle with similar things. They go on a first date. They don't get the second date when they're interested. They're not getting dates with the people they are interested in. They see a cute girl, they make eye contact. What do? Shy away, look away, right? And so these problems resonated with me, and these are things I had to work through. And ultimately, I wanted to be able to share that with others and help nice guys find someone they deserved.
What's the number one mistake that you think they make? The nice guys.
They don't make the move, or there's the common thing too is the friend zone, getting friend zoned. And it's like having that safe conversation and not being afraid of being creepy. And if you can read people and understand if they're uninterested, there's no risk of being creepy. If you're respectful of people, pay attention to their body language and how receptive they are to certain things you say, and you can respect those boundaries. And if they're uninterested, move on, and it's okay.
So how does the business work? Is it, do you find, how do you find clients? Do they pay you on an ongoing basis? Is it kind of like a training? How does it work?
Sorry, what was that last part?
How does the business work?
Yeah, it really is like Hitch. I'm very much take a holistic view. And I think the hardest thing for me being a new founder is I know I offer a great service, but it's finding people that one have this issue and also are willing to work on themselves and come to the realization that, oh shit, I am struggling in dating. There are things I'm afraid of doing. I have a fear of rejection. I'm not going up and approaching people. And ultimately having the confidence to accept that and be willing to put themselves out there and start working with a professional who can help guide them and push them and help them be accountable and help them learn social skills in a way that's authentic to them. But I do primarily one-on-one coaching. And I also host monthly events in the city, focusing on confidence, I have one coming up. It's make dating apps suck less and upgrade your photos. And so I have a professional photographer coming. She's a wonderful photographer, and she'll be there to take photos of people looking their best.
Are you bringing like pets to the?
Yeah, we'll have some dogs there. Yeah.
So how much does it actually cost? Can you share roughly or a range or something?
No, I don't share my prices. And if you go and look at any life coach and go on their website, you will not find prices.
Does that mean like they vary by individual, or they're just?
It's not. It's just that over time, prices increase as demand gets higher. And
what do high end dating coaches charge in general?
Like $100,000.
Well, matchmaking. I know this is to change, but matchmaking can be like $10,000 for their services, and a high profile dating coach could be like $3,000 for a few months of work.
Well, that's like way cheaper than like a longevity coach.
Yeah, the typical offering is,
and it's the ultimate longevity.
I know.
If it works, yeah, I agree. I think you should raise your prices. The whole industry should raise their prices.
Inflation.
So how many clients can you even have at a time?
Yeah, that varies, right? I think it just depends on your capacity and how you want to stretch your time, right? If you need to put more time in your public speaking, if you want to invest more time in marketing. And
wait, if you want to invest more time in marketing, or you're saying the person itself is like investing in marketing themselves, or you're talking about yourself, the business?
Yeah, it's like how much time do I have to allocate?
Gotcha.
I'd say the sweet spot is around 10.
Oh wow, it's like not a ton, because I guess you're working with these people fairly. Like, it seems like a lot of it is working with, you call it beyond nice, because it sounds like a lot of it is working with nice guys to go beyond. Like, what does that mean? Like, like,
what does beyond nice mean? The whole reason, one of the main reasons why I'm so proud of what I'm doing and excited about what I'm building is a really common thing that's been emerging, especially with younger people who've been immersed in technology, post-pandemic era, feeling isolated, is incel culture, and people feeling isolated and alone and left behind, especially nice guys. And a typical solution these people seek and find online is this toxic masculine sort of solution where they're treating women as property, and it's really, really awful things. And my whole mission is to create this middle ground where it's like, yeah, you need to be something, move beyond the nice label, right? And be more assertive and work on your social skills in some capacity. But you don't have to resort to these toxic masculine ways that are being preached on the internet. And I'm building a community focused on that and giving people a little bit of relief that they can still maintain that kind-hearted nature that really feels natural to them and still with that partner.
What is incel? I think some people who are
that's
online know it, but what does it mean?
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, that's fair. Hey, I respect that honesty. Yeah, it's involuntary celibacy. So it's people who would like to have sex, but ultimately are not finding sexual partners or connections. I picture the person in a basement playing games and not going out in the community and making connections, building relationships, and et cetera, et cetera.
So what percent of this dating happens or starts via apps in your experience?
Well, if what the data does say is that approximately 40% of relationships in the US are started online, which does mean there's 60% online. I don't.
I would have thought 80. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
But is that true in your experience? Like if you take 10 of your recent clients, how many, I guess they haven't found somebody, but I'm wondering.
Yeah, it's a variety, right? And I think it depends on their starting point. So if you have someone who feels stuck and they just want to get back out there, get on dates, let's start with the apps. It's less friction. You can find dates relatively easy on apps if you have the right approach. But then you have the people who are tired, they're feeling a little exhausted from the dating apps, and they want to meet people in real life. And so they're like, I've had a client who's like, fuck the apps. I'm off. I'm done. I want to start meeting people in real life. I want to feel the energy of the person. Stop investing so much time and going out on dates and drinking and to be with someone ultimately that I'm like, I have zero connection with and don't feel any positive energy from the interaction. Having that in real life connection to when you go into the date, it's just, there's so much less friction and enjoying that experience. And that investment at least is worth it because they're a decent human that you feel some sort of vibe with.
What do you think of speed dating? Does that still happen? No.
I think speed dating is incredible. I actually had a friend. So I have a friend who runs a company called Met Through Friends. And the whole idea behind it is it's for singles, but say I'm going and it's a heterosexual event. I would bring one of my friends that's a woman. We go and we're vouching for each other. So you have good people going to these events. One of my friends dragged me to a speed dating event and I was like, oh, whatever, like I'll freaking go. And it was so fun because I think it's a great opportunity, one, to meet people. And two, if you're someone that's trying to work on social skills, work on putting yourself out there, getting more comfortable having these conversations and trying to represent yourself and talk about yourself, be curious, ask interesting questions, ask questions to get to know someone. This is trial by fire. Like you're in it. And the modernized versions are they're a lot more well done, I guess. They're not like the old, actually like what you'd see on Hitch. It's less like that. And there's mingling after. And I think they're a great opportunity to just get out of your comfort zone.
Because I'm wondering, where did I read that you can gauge if you like a person in the first 5 seconds or something of meeting them? Do you think that's true? Or do you need this whole 2-hour thing, questionnaire, like what do you want in life? Do you want kids? Do you want this? Da, da, da? Or is it like that energy pretty clear right away?
That's such a tough question. I think we all look for blanket solutions to problems or blanket ideas to latch onto to understand oh, is this it? Is this the person? And something I've been really latching onto recently is appreciating the slow burn in places where you spend a lot of time at and you're seeing people week after week or day after day, and realizing I hear the stories more and more and more about, oh yeah, we were friendly and you have these things that you connect on values based or whatever, but you might not have that spark right away. It doesn't necessarily mean that that there isn't an opportunity to have that long-term connection. And I think sometimes we get so caught up in, I need this high, this rush from this person in that initial 5 seconds. And I'm like, dang, this is it. And that's not necessarily the case.
I don't know. I think I disagree because even like when I met Taylor, right, we were at a bar and it just seemed like immediately we just
speed dating event.
Like I'm trying to think. Yeah, my wife, same thing. Right, we met right away, and it's not. I mean, I think not that some magical spark and like, oh, this is the one, but just in terms of telling people that you vibe with or don't vibe with, right? Like is this going to be like a conversation and thing that could kind of flows that I don't have to work hard on, or is it going to work? I feel like I know that within first.
Like all my best friends, I agree. Like all my best friends, like you and I knew right away. I was like, I remember meeting you in that basement, and I thought, oh, this guy's awesome. Like, yeah, I agree that at least for me, that initial impulse, and also in sales, because it's kind of the same skills, right? You know, in sales, I could tell I was telling somebody this yesterday, I could tell in the first 10 seconds how the sales call is going to go. Like, you know, I could, based on their answers and the energy and how it's going to go.
Yeah. And I mean, if you've read the book Blink by Malcolm Gladwell, there's science to back that. I think ultimately it's important to understand that it doesn't have to be such a high. Like you can feel like some sort of connection, and that's important, but don't put all your stock in feeling that spark.
Right. But I'm wondering even how do you tell your clients to avoid, because I think part of it is what you bring to the table, right? Like I came to that event where I met Taylor with energy. I was like excited to meet people. If I had like some terrible day and I was like just kind of moping around, I think it would have gone differently. So I'm wondering, what do you tell your clients about how they, like you mentioned, they look away, right, when they make eye contact? Maybe what are you telling them that will get them past that initial jolt to at least like have those 5 seconds, you know?
Yeah. Something that I push as something to live by is, especially in today, right? We work on, some people work remote, right? And you're on your computer all day. And then you're expected to go to some networking event or go to some dating event or go on a date. And you're supposed to go from work mode to date mode and being charismatic and just like that. And it's not really realistic. So I always suggest to people, think of, I'm an athlete. So I'm like, what do you do to get ready for that free throw or whatever? You have your little rhythm to get or warm up for a game. In this instance, like you need to disconnect from work. For like work, Taylor has to disconnect to be romantic, datey, fun, charismatic Taylor. And whatever that looks like for you, it could be listening to that song that gets you fired up. You're feeling swaggy, you're feeling loose, or it could be watching a video of your favorite comedian and having a laugh and feeling goofy and feeling ready to bring that goofy, fun energy to that date. Or it could be calling up a friend or family member that makes you feel you outside of work.
You know, I think this applies in so many parts of life. I think this is a great tip for any kind of like context switching. So I heard from, Seth Godin, where he was talking about before any sales call, he forces himself to smile really big. And so I read that probably was in 2009, and I still do it to this day. So before any call or any kind of big context switch, to your point, I sit there and I do a goofy smile and I just go, and it's,
you do that before every call?
I do it. Yeah. And any call, now it's like, I don't get worried about sales calls, but for any call that, if it's a cold call or it's somebody's ghosted me and I need their credit card number, them to sign a contract or what have you, and I'm nervous about the call, then I do that. And I just do a big smile. It's so goofy, but it makes it so that when I join the call, to your point, I feel more positive about it instead of, it really does work. So I think that what you're talking about, that there's something to it. I like the idea of like listening to a comic. And again, it can apply in so many things. Anything where persuasion is important, sales, big meeting with your boss, if you're a founder, not a boss, but maybe a vendor who owes you a bunch of money, things like that.
It's funny how these... Yeah, go ahead.
For me, I just want to say, for me, that same hack of getting in a positive mood is listening to bachata. Like if I listen to bachata music, actually Taylor see me. When I hear bachata music, I just like go in such a positive mindset. So yeah,
you start getting your 8 count in and
Totally. It could be anywhere.
no, I wholeheartedly believe in those little nervous system trip hacks. You know, the power pose TED talk. I don't know if you've seen that one this woman put on. It's wonderful. I hosted an event on Monday and it was talking about confidence and mindset shifts. And confidence is the foundation in dating. If you aren't confident, it can be really challenging to be in the dating world. And the things we discussed were some unconventional methods to sort of trick your nervous system and your mind into feeling confident. And we did some visualization exercises, we did affirmations, and these are things that sound strange. Like, oh, I'm going to sit there and listen to something, visualizing myself going up and approaching a cute girl and that being a successful experience, her laughing, me asking for the number. And it feels weird, but the top performers in the world are doing these things. LeBron James, the Cristiano Ronaldos, the public speaker that you think is so incredible. These people envision themselves having success.
Do you ask people to like kind of memorize some lines beforehand, or do you just tell them like, oh, just free flow, whatever comes to your head when you walk up to a stranger?
I'm very much personally, I'm not one to tell people like, hey, dude, this is how you should approach. This is what line you should use. I'll leave that to them. But personally, I'm someone who will do as just simple things when approaching someone as a compliment, or my favorite is just observation, just any observational. I met this girl. I was taking the train down and transferring to the L from the 2-3, and she was wearing a really big warm jacket. And I was like, oh, I really like your jacket, or something like that. And she's like, yeah, it's like I'm wearing a blanket in public. And we just started riffing over her jacket. And I ultimately, as she had to run into the train. We were going separate directions. Like, oh, give me your number. And she like barely made it through the doors, and I got her number. We went on a date, ended up not working out. But the point is, be on the lookout for things that you can just observe and comment on. The stupidest things, be silly.
Yeah, a lot of people put, a lot of thinking into what those words are, like even myself, like on a sales call or any sort of new stranger conversation. But then if you want to think about, if you ask somebody later, like, oh, when you met, like when you and I met, like, what was the first thing you guys talked about? Nobody remembers, right? Like it's completely meaningless. It just got the conversation going, but nobody actually remembers what was said, right?
Right.
How about rejection though? Like, so you're doing this, you're great, you're in a good mood. It starts off and then like, boom, you get like rejected. How do you advise people to, everybody knows, oh, it's a law of numbers. Like you just keep trying, but like rejection feels like really hard in everything. And, after hitting a rejection, it's hard to like put that smile on the face, like listen to bachata again and be like, all right, we'll do it again. How do you get people to overcome that?
Yeah. Have either of you had any recent rejection instances that you've had to deal with?
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day, multiple times a day. But that's sales.
That is sales. Yeah.
I think there's a little bit more personal when it's like, hey, you could be my life partner. Like, bam. No, it's different than like, hey, are you interested in this product? No, I think they're both rejections, but in terms of rejection of a product versus rejection of me as a human, seems like I would take it harder if it's the more personal it is, right?
Yeah.
I guess that's true.
Yeah. For me, it's about the cognitive reframing and shifting your mindset to realize that these instances of rejection, these failures, these setbacks are the greatest opportunities to learn. And when working with someone, I offer very personalized coaching, and it's really figuring out what strategy works for them to move on from that rejection. And obviously the best thing you can do is be able to learn from that. But ultimately it's like, how can I find a way what's my way of bouncing back? Is it investing time in myself, doing something I that fuels me, makes me feel good? Maybe it is listening to bachata music. I don't know, but it's ultimately understanding yourself and how you can deal with these emotions that emerge from that rejection.
So where do you see the business going? Like, how big can this get? How do you kind of scale it and make it a big, or is that even the goal? Like, do you want to make a bigger business? Like, what's your vision for the business?
It's a great question. And I've gotten to a point where that's become top of mind is, I'm doing the things to build towards where I want to get. I'm doing panels and speaking and coaching and continuing to learn more about dating and thinking about, I'd love to be able to do relationship coaching and have like a full gamut of offerings for people. But the way I see it in coaching, the best opportunities for growth are public speaking, and motivational speaking is something I'm really interested in doing. And it's really hard. And I'm learning a lot I do Toastmasters. So I'm working on not using filler words and how to engage an audience and be relatable and confident and have organizational structure in what I'm speaking, what my messaging is. And so that's something I'm very interested in. Group coaching is something I'm interested in. Obviously, I host events, and I think scaling those and the things I'm presenting at these events in person, I'm offering I'm like, hey, it's like $20 or whatever it is. There's food, there's some light refreshments. People are getting a steal because I know down the line, this stuff can be extremely valuable, and it can become a series where people come, hey, you're signing up for 8 weeks. There's 8 sessions this time every week, or it's something that's on Teachable. It's online. It's something like a course that you can take to really work on yourself. And so that's the vision, is really as far as the educational side, it's taking the things that I'm building up, these assets, these events I'm hosting, and finding a way to have greater reach.
I think that there's a takeaway for people listening in that there's so many ways to launch a business, to make money, to provide value to people around you. You started it with that you like to help people. And there's so many ways to help people, right? You could be a sales coach and help them sell. You could be a salesperson. It doesn't have to be in sales, but you could do, dating coach. Like you're talking anything. You could be a closer. You could be a sales manager. You could be a sales manager. It's any kind of, there's so many of these things. Like take a talent or a skill or an interest that one has, and then, you could build a business around it. And I love hearing stories like this because it doesn't have to be some AI business or some crazy, thing. It's an ability to make, provide impact to the world, make a great living for yourself, and feel good about what you're doing. It's less startup costs. You don't have to raise any money or anything crazy. It just falls on you to do that. And I think that that's empowering, as a business. It's not, I can't start this business because I can't raise money. No. It's empowering that everything's on oneself, and that it all relies on me to start this business and to provide value to the world, as you said. So I think it's inspiring, one person businesses that start that way, that don't require capital to start, and it's all about how do I price it, to your point earlier, how do I price things lower so I can get some clients, build it up, and then over time I can raise my prices, I provide more value, have more case studies. I think it's a great way to build a business that we can have a great living, make a real impact, and over time you can make a lot of money doing that too.
Totally. Like always, Taylor knows I love. My advice is always to raise prices. It's like every business. All right. Well, Ez, this was amazing. Before we wrap here, we'll do a life hack that we each can share. It can be anything. And my life hack for this week is this AI tool called Manus. You guys know about Manus?
Manus.
What's Manus? How do you spell it?
U-S, manus.im. It does like much more in-depth stuff than even like ChatGPT. So for example, for me, it did a full SEO audit of our website at Aventi and made this like full deep report of like the backlinks and the who's linking to us and how does the website rate and what's bad about it and what's the SEO looking like. And it runs through credits really fast, but it does like a very deep analysis that actually works. If you guys use the ChatGPT Pro, the $200 version, it actually doesn't really work. It like breaks a lot of the time. in trying to figure and do this stuff, which I'm sure they'll fix eventually. But right now, this is just like 10 times better than that and cheaper. But that's one example. There's other stuff that requires a more in-depth. So for a trip planning, it just goes in so much more in-depth, tailored costs and trips and that anybody would. Like, it actually navigates to the websites and pulls the stuff. So far, it's been really impressive. It's a little pricey on credits, but not as pricey as ChatGPT. So highly recommend.
Wow, it's a great find. When you said AI tool, I get really scared because mine is also an AI tool. Have you ever tried Replete? No, not Rep. What? REPLIT. So I just used this last night. It's a way of, so it used to be kind of a coding tool. And now it's when you go to the website, it gives you a prompt and it says, "Hi, Taylor, what do you want to make?" And you can just type in anything. So I'll give a real life example. So at Newsletter, our platform allows people to track their competitors. One of their first questions is, well, who are my competitors? And we used to tell people, well, I don't know. Like, who do you think they are? Or you'd use Google, and it doesn't really work that well. Mm-hmm. ChatGPT, with the right prompt, will come up with some competitors. But you have to have you create your own GPT. Nowadays, you could do that, but it's still really slow and it's kind of clumsy, and it takes up a ton of memory in the browser, especially if you're doing tons of these. I mean, we do a ton of them every day. So I built. In Replit, you can build a wrapper around GPT. So you could take any ChatGPT prompt you have or any prompt, and you could say to Replit, which is what I said last night. I was like, hey, create me a form where I just have an input field where I could type in a URL. And then when I press submit, go out to ChatGPT, give it this prompt, pass in that value, and then return the results to me in the form. Now, it may not sound that valuable because you're like, well, can't I just use it in ChatGPT? Yeah, but ChatGPT, it's clumsy. You got to keep it open. You open it up, and then it just requires more steps. So this creates a really, really slick form. And it's lightweight and it works and it's fast. I built that in an hour last night and it looks great. And now we're using it at the company. So there's so many of these things. It can now create iOS apps. So it's so cool. And it actually writes the app. It writes the code as you're in the tool. It's just mind blowing. It's super cool. So Replit, they have a free trial, but the paid version is only $25 a month. Yeah. So that's mine. What about you, Brandon? It does not have to be an AI tool.
This could be a tool. I'm like, have you guys heard of Field?
What's that?
Have you actually heard of Field? Now that I brought it up.
No.
FEELD.
Nope.
What is it?
It's basically like Grindr, but they allow straight people and bi people in. So you put sexual preferences. It's a very open and honest site for people that their dating intentions are more casual. But it's funny on there. You'll see people that are like, oh, I'm into BDSM, rough sex, but looking for my partner, you're like, oh, okay. I think you're on the wrong app, but
wow.
Yeah.
I feel like I need to remove this from my browsing history. Shows up my autocomplete. Wait a minute. It was for the podcast.
Yeah. You understand? But I get in trouble there, Taylor. But I'd say my life hack would be, I think in today's world, this might be a term that people have heard, but I think the greatest way to bring more joy to your life is flirting with the world. Have you guys heard of this?
No.
What is it?
It's not flirting in a romantic sense necessarily, but it's more of any opportunity you have to just have a more elevated, interesting conversation, seize that opportunity. My favorite example, and the one I always do, is Trader Joe's, because they always ask, oh, how's your day going? And people will just be like, oh, it's fine. Oh, it's good. And I always kind of take that question and answer it, but indirectly.
You tell them it's terrible. Terrible. My day's awful.
Actually, that is.
My cat just died. How's your day?
Yeah, how's your day?
It's the worst to bring down the day. I'm a very optimistic person, very happy, and I try and pump that into my clients too, give them that energy. But they're like, how are you? And I'll say, oh, I'm doing amazing. This last weekend, I went to this cool concert at this venue called Superior Ingredients in Brooklyn. You have an insane view of the city behind it. And then they'll start asking about the music and they'll ask about the venue. And then the conversation becomes something interesting outside of oh, is it busy today in the store? Right. And they're like, this is this fucking conversation again. So I think Trader Joe's, when you're in an elevator, when there's a dog walking, like if someone's walking their dog on the street, like find opportunities to connect with people and enhance conversations to be interesting and just have fun. There's so much fun to be had out in the world. The world's a freaking playground. And although people might seem standoffish, I talk to people on the subway all the time, and they're really open to it when you bring that right energy and just are observational and goofy.
That's awesome. That's great. Great words of positivity. Really appreciate it, Brandon. Thanks for coming on the pod today. And really good luck with the business.
I really appreciate y'all having me. It was great to connect. And I'm looking forward to seeing future episodes.
Thank you for rocking with the homies. Taylor, Trusty, and Flavio. Seize the day, own it. Until next time, hold it down, hold it down. Hey.